Hello, welcome to Poetry Changes Lives, Poetry and History and a Thought for the Day. Once again in this one book, I find that reading, as I have been doing, a day every day of the year, and a day's entry, it changes my mood for the better. I hadn't quite realized it. You know, I did write the book after all, so maybe I should have realized it. But I find it's an extremely pleasant way of getting into the day to read a poem and have a little thought for the day as well. It really helps me, and I think it might help you and anyone else that you would get the idea you might like to help. It can make a very nice present to give people who maybe are feeling a bit down or a bit lonely or a bit sort of without purpose. I do try in this book to add a little bit of enjoyment, inspiration, and some new ideas as well. We all need input from other people. If we just sat and sort of mulled over what was in our heads without any outside influence, it probably wouldn't be very productive. Not for me, anyway. I can only speak for myself. Well, on this day, I'm going to demonstrate what's in this book. On this day in 1886, the very great German-American architect Mies van der Rohe was born. He's one of the founders of modernistic architecture, of course, together with the other two greats, Lloyd Wright, the American, and Le Corbusier, the Frenchman. Together they really influenced modern architecture enormously. Van der Rohe was the last director of the Bauhaus school in Germany, great, still highly thought of school of design that was forced to close by the Nazis before World War II. Mies van der Rohe devised architecture that was based on framework mostly and open spaces, and he originated phrases such as less is good and God is in the details. I think he would have approved of minimalist architecture and art of all kinds, really. Well, today's poem is about building a bridge, in fact, and it's by that remarkable, unusual, but I think extremely interesting and thoughtful poet, Will Allen Dromgoole, who was writing in the early part of the 20th century in America, I think. It's called The Bridge Builder. I like this very much. It always sort of speaks to me in a strange way about gratitude and selflessness. See what you think of this. The Bridge Builder. An old man going a lone highway came at the evening cold and grey to a chasm vast and deep and wide, through which was flowing a sullen tide. The old man crossed in the twilight dim. The sullen stream had no fear for him. As he turned, when safe on the other side, he built a bridge to span the tide. "Old man," said a fellow pilgrim near, "you're wasting your strength with building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You never again will pass this way. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build this bridge at evening tide?" The builder lifted his old grey head. "Good friend, in the path I have come," he said, "there followed after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm has been at naught for me. To that fair-haired youth it may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I'm building this bridge for him." That's not a poem on the sort of scale of sort of beautiful expressions of feelings and beauty the way Shakespeare or Wordsworth might do it, but it's a simple poem of goodness and expressions of what's right and proper, and that has a power of a different kind. It inspires me, I find, and so much good poetry I find does affect me in ways, and it changes my mood, as I said at the beginning. You know, it's part of the wonder of poetry for me, that it does all these extraordinary things that can be so beneficial and therapeutic. I'm so grateful today and every day for the gift of poetry in our lives. And today I will work at building my life carefully and cleanly, not just for myself, but for others too, I trust. Thank you for listening today. Have a great day yourselves.